Hello and welcome back. So in our previous lecture we looked at Python strings. Now we are going to be looking at lists in Python. A list is an ordered collection of values. The values that make up a list are called its elements or its items. Lists are similar to strings, which are ordered collections of characters, except that elements in lists can be of any type. Alright, an element in a list can be of any type. Now, list values. There are several ways to create a new list. The simplest is to enclose the elements in a square bracket. Alright, so taking from this our example here, we have numbers is equals to square bracket 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, then words is equals to square bracket spam, bungee, swallow. Alright, so if we look at this, we simply see that so far we have a list of items in a square bracket. We refer to them as list values. Okay, list values. Now, a list within another list is said to be a nested list. Okay, so in this example here we have hello 2.05. now we also have a list that is within another list. So 10,20 is a list that is inside another list, and we are saying that this list is said to be nested. Finally, a list with no elements is said to be an empty list. Okay, so if I just put a square bracket, I've said that to have an empty list. Now let's look at lists. So we said that to create a list in Python, all we simply need to do is to put values in square brackets. So if I say items, alright, items is equals to, I create square bracket, I open the square bracket and I write hello. This is a string. I write 20. This is an integer. I write 3.14. This is a float. And we said you can also have a list inside another list. So if I have 23 and 78, for example, so you will see that if I want to check the types, I say print type items. So I want to check the data type of items. You will see that items is a list. Okay, let me open my terminal and I will say Python exercise.py. You see that it returns class of list. Okay, so we have a list. Now I will say that if I create a list and the list does not have any value, it's said to be an empty list. Meanwhile, if I have a list inside a list such as this, we have what we call a nested list. Okay, so this list here is said to be nested inside a larger list. Alright, so we're also going to look at how to access elements in an array. Accessing elements in an array, in a list rather. The syntax for accessing the elements in a list is the same as the syntax for accessing characters of a string. The index operator, okay, not to be confused with an empty list though. So you use a square bracket to identify the index of a list. Okay, so for instance, in our list here, if I want to get, let's say I want to get hello, I'll simply say items square bracket hello is at index 0. Don't forget, Python is 0 indexed. Hello is at index 0. When I run this, you see that it returns hello for me. Alright, if I want to get the other list, I will simply put this other list is at index 0, 1, 2, 3 is at index 3. So if I run this, save this, and I run this, you'll see that I have another list. Now, if I want to get a value that is in a nested list, for example, I want to get the value of 78. Okay, now 78. First of all, I'll look at the nested list. The nested list is at index 3. So when I get my list, I will now have to find the index for 78, and 78 is at index 1 in my nested list. So I will say 1, and you see that when I run this, 78 is what returns. So now any expression evaluating to an integer can be used as an index. Alright, so for instance, if I say 8 minus 5, that is equals to 3, so it's going to give me index 3. But I cannot use a float, okay, for indexing. It will give me an error. Now, if you try to access or assign to an element that does not exist, you get a runtime error. Alright, so let's say I want to index an element that does not exist. So here the highest index should be index 3, but let's say I go for index 4. I am going to be met with an error, okay, telling me that the list is out of range. Alright, let's take note of that. Also, we have the list length function, and this function is used to check the length of a list. Okay, it's used to check the length of a list. So if I want to check the length of my list now, I will say len items. Okay, I'll say len items, and when I run this, you see that it gives me 4. I have 4 items in my list. Okay, and you might ask, why is that? I think I can see 5 items, but one thing you should know is that Python treats a nested list as a single item within the list. Okay, so actually what we have here is just 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, it doesn't look at 23 and 78 as individuals. It looks at them as one element in a nested list. All right, now the next thing we're going to look at is list membership. Okay, list membership, and we simply say that list membership is when we use in and not in, which are Boolean operators, to test membership of an item or an element in a list. Now, we've used this previously in strings, but they also work in lists and other sequences such as tuples. So if I say, let's put a condition, says if 20 in items, all right, then we can print found it. Okay, found it. All right, else we just say, print not found. Not found. All right, so when we run this, because 20 is a member of items, it returns found it. But if I were to use something like 92, for example, that is not there, you will see that it's going to return not found. Okay, so this in is used to check for a membership of lists to see if a certain element exists within a list. So we also have some list operators. The plus operator is used to concatenate two lists. So as we can see here, we will use the plus operator to add two lists together, and when we do that we get a new list. Okay, then we can also use the asterisk to multiply a list by an integer. Okay, and it will replicate the values in that list by the number of the integer. So if we say 1 2 3 multiplied by 3, it's going to result to 1 2 3 coming out 3 times. Okay, now another thing we're going to look at is list slicing. So the same way we slice in strings is the same way we slice in lists. Now, one thing we need to know about lists is that lists are mutable. Okay, unlike strings, which are immutable, we said that lists are mutable. Okay, so I can change the current set of values in my list. I can update them, all right, I can delete them. So let's see examples. Now I currently have a list. Okay, now if I want to add a value to that list, I can simply say something like this. I will say items. Let's say I want to change the value of 3.14. For example, I will say items at 3.14 is at index 2 is equals to, let me say I want to change it to 10. All right. So when I then print my list, you will see that the value has changed. So if I print items, you see that it has changed from 3.14 to 10. So let me run that, and you see that the value here has been updated. Okay, so that what we mean by lists are mutable. Now we can also delete items in a list. Okay, we can delete items in a list. So if I want to delete an item, I will simply use the del keyword, then the name of my list plus the index of the item I want to delete. So let's say I want to delete the nested list, which is at index 3. Okay, so if I do that, once I print items, and we run this, you will notice that the list is no longer there. All right, the list is no longer there. Now we could also use lists with for loops. We tend to use lists with for loops a lot. So let's say 4 horsemen, for example. Let's create a list that is 4 horsemen, and we simply is equals to pestilence, war, hunger, and death. So using the for loop, I can traverse through the list and print out each item in the list. So I can simply say for horseman in 4 horsemen. Okay, and I want to print horseman. So when I run this, you will see that it's going to print all the items in the list. So it prints pestilence, war, hunger, death. Now there are also some methods we can use in lists. Okay, some list methods, and we have methods like the addition or to append another element. So let's say we wanted to add a 5th horseman, for example. So instead of using 4 horsemen, I'll just change this to horsemen. If I wanted to add a 5th horseman, I will say horseman dot append. Okay, and whatever value I'm going to append there, I'm going to say let's add anger. I don't know how that relates to horseman, but let's just add it. So if I want to print the value for Horseman, you will see that anger has been added. So when I run this, okay, I was not meant to run it like that. Let's go back here. When I run this, you see that anger has been added to the Horseman list. So there are many methods we could make use of. So if you're using VS Code, once you simply put the period, you will see a list of all possible methods we could use with lists. Okay, thank you very much. So in our next segment, we are going to look at tuples.